Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer you might encounter strong language. Whoopsie! We also want to be clear that the things we say are our opinions and it should no way be taken as medical, health, or dietary advice. We also are aware that we have certain privileged experiences and therefore we are not able to be representative and we don't even aim to be representative of all the things that people have lived and felt that we have not.
I'm fat and I would rather self medicate than visit a doctor. So,
I'm fat and I refuse to have bariatric surgery. So,
I'm fat and I love extended fasting. So,
she's weird, guys. I'm fat and I love boxing. So,
whoa. I'm fat and I haven't yet found a form of exercise that really appeals to me. So,
try boxing.
true.
I'm fat and I like to lift weights. Yes, like all those big tagda guys in the gym. So,
Welcome to Fatso, the podcast where we talk about the joys and sorrows of being fat women in India. Heavy on the joy. I'm Pallavi.
and I'm Ameya, and today we're going to talk about health. So, being healthy is really important, no matter what size you are. This, I think, is like obvious.
Universal.
Healthy bodies are wonderful. But when you're a fat person, it's frustrating, it's terrifying, it's upsetting, intimidating, anxiety inducing. Pick a negative emotion of your choice and insert it there. To have to engage with doctors and the whole medical system and medical professionals. So, in this episode, we're going to try and talk about the experiences that we've had and some of the things we've learned about weight and health in our desperate search for information. You see, the thing is, health is important. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's important, guys. And yes, your weight can affect your health in many, many ways. But will someone please tell me how the fuck your weight has anything to do with having a UTI? Please tell me. How? Is it because you're so fat that you're I don't know, I see, I can't even think of something outrageous to say about it. It is so ridiculous.
Being
Right?
a visual person, I'm already imagining.
Yeah, I'm imagining too, but I think it might be a little too much. That too for right at the beginning of the episode. But yeah, this has literally happened to me once. I had a UTI, I had a high fever, I hurt like a bitch to pee. I know you ladies out there feel me. So I went to a gynec and I went to one who was just right there in my colony because he didn't want to walk to the hospital or whatever it was. And I told her, I said, I have these symptoms. I think I have a UTI. She said, acha. Aapka weight kya hai? And I'm like, first of all, talk to me in English, please. It makes me feel a little more confident about your education because I'm an elitist like that. And then, no, mainly because I can't describe my symptoms in Hindi, bro. I can ask for chai, but like, I can't be like, wahan pe dard ho raha hai, wahan pe, and then point. Anyway, so she asked me about my weight. I said, I don't know, 100 and whatever kilos. And she's like, acha, aap kuch weight loss kyun nahi karte hain? I was like,
Jesus.
ma'am, mujhe UTI hai. She's like, हाँ, to batao. And then she asked me about my sex life, of course, by saying, are you married? And I said, I'm not married. And then she said, aapki shaadi to kaise hogi, aap mote. I was sitting there and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I have 103 fever. Give me some medicines, you psycho. But she wouldn't give them to me. She just wouldn't. And I'm just like, what? And this is the thing. I don't know a single doctor that I've been to. Okay, that's not true. I know a couple. But I don't know a single doctor that I've been to, like a random doctor that I've been to who's not told me to lose weight. And I'm like, look, I get it. You're a medical health profession and it is definitely true that there are certain correlations between weight and health. Not arguing with that. But if I am here with tonsillitis, if I am here with low vitamin B, that's got nothing to do with my weight. So just stop with the obsession with the weight. Because what happens then is, I don't want to see a doctor.
Exactly.
I probably end up with fucking brain cancer because I don't want to see a doctor when I have headaches because he's going to tell me to lose weight instead of sending me to get an MRI. And I swear to God, there is literature, there are studies, there are numbers on how many fat people fall horribly ill, never get treated. There are people who die because they go in with like pain and people just keep giving them weight loss in the medical system. And then, 1.5 years later, they have metastasized cancer and they're dead. And just because some fucking doctor can't see the fact that you're fat. And fat is okay. I mean, I'm not saying that being fat is never going to affect your health. I'm not saying that. But the idea that it is everything, that it is the sum total of your health, it's the sum total of everything about you is so messed up. And the other thing, it's not just the medical professionals, right? It's random people on the street going to be like, oh, you should lose weight. Oh, listen, you shouldn't eat that, yeah. I'm only saying this because I love you. I'm like, do you walk up to every smoker on the street and tell them to stop smoking because it'll give them cancer? Let me guess, you don't. Because guess what? We are just easy prey because we're allowed to be easy prey.
Yeah.
And that is so fucked up.
I hear you, sister. I hear you. This whole easy prey thing, because our stuff is all hanging out there for everybody to see, right?
Yep.
And everybody else gets away with so much because, well, it's all hidden behind that veneer of decency and whatever else. But this fear thing is just, it is so ingrained, and it's so, it's really sad, like what we had on Twitter. And the two of us got really happy because we were like, yeah, we've arrived. We've got trolls on Twitter.
They weren't trolls, to be fair, poor things.
They weren't trolls. Because this person had been diagnosed with pre-diabetes, I think she said.
Yeah.
And she was really worried that, she has a child and she's not going to live long enough with her child, which is the story that emerged. But it all started off with, hey, this is all great, but you're fat and you really need to lose weight, and you shouldn't be talking about fat acceptance as a way of people not losing weight.
Yeah, it was something about how fat positivity is really bad and people die. People die from obesity.
Correct.
Wow.
And how, we started giving the studies, and there was this whole rebuttal on, okay, you're talking about these studies, but actually this is how it really is. And I'm 40 and I've woken up finally, and you're going to wake up. And I'm like, no, I'm also 40. And then, and I think it made my heart ache eventually, because it's just that fear, and that fear grips me too sometimes, and this whole thing with doctors and the way they scare us off. I don't remember so much about I had childhood incontinence, and I remember we had to come back to India from Lagos for the tests, etc. And they couldn't find anything, and they told my mother, well, she's fat. As a child, I really wasn't that fat. I was a bit chubby. And they told my mother that because she's fat, she has childhood incontinence. She can't hold in her pee. What I realized much later was because when I start focusing on something, I totally forget my body. And so I wouldn't remember to go to the loo on time,
That's all it was.
That's all it was. And I had to figure this out, which I finally did after when I was 10 years old. But from the age of 8 to the age of 10, I wore STs every day because my mother was like, you're fat and your susu keeps leaking out, literally. And therefore you have to wear sanitary. And it was so painfully shameful for me as that child who finally had to figure out, oh my God, no, I just have to be more aware of the need to pee. It still happens to me now that I forget that I have to pee because I'm just focusing on something. And, obviously as an adult, your controls are a little better or whatever else.
Well, I hope so.
So that was my first experience with a doctor. Thanks, Ameya, for the confidence. God. Anyways, my second experience with a doctor was a general practitioner whom I went to for my cough and cold. I was old enough not to go with my mum by then. And when I went back to him saying that my cough hasn't, sorted itself out, he's like, oh, I probably gave you the wrong prescription. You're so fat that you actually need double the dose that a usual person would need of medicine. And hey, I don't need double doses of medicine, even if my body is twice normal weight. Then the other experience I had was, on the whole insulin resistance thing, right? The PCOD thing, and being put on pills when I was 18 years old. And I had pills for almost 5 to 6 years,
What do you mean by pills?
The pill, yeah.
The pill, right.
Yeah. So I was on, birth control from the time I was 18. When I had to get married, it was I stopped it because I could not tell my husband. I did not tell my husband that I had PCOD and insulin resistance when I got married to him, okay? I did not, because I had just this terrible, terrible fear, and I thought, okay, we'll get married and then I'll deal with it then. Okay. Honest confession. If he's listening, oops, I'm sorry. And then when I wanted to get pregnant and I went to the doctor, and this doctor said to me, if you choose to have a child, you will die.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And I decided that day I'm not going to have a baby. I had to decide that for a lot of other reasons as well. But that was like the final thing. I decided I will not have a baby. And that is also the time when I stopped going to doctors. So now I go to a doctor when it's like really, really serious. But otherwise, I will just do anything I can not to have to go to a doctor. So when I fall sick, I feel really afraid because I don't want to go to a doctor. But what if it's something really serious? And then my mind will go into, oh my God, I'm going to get cancer and die. So I'm really warped and messed up. There was only this one doctor whom I met, and he's now gone to Canada, and I really miss him because he told me that you're okay. Fat is not unhealthy. All of this stuff you've been reading is fine. And he walked me through how to do tests, how to read my tests, and how to find vitamins and stuff like that would help me. So, but anyway, I'm going on and on. What are your doctor stories?
So, no, the thing is, well, I mean, going on and on is kind of the whole point of a podcast. So please, don't hold back. But but first I have a couple of things I want to say to what you said. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, with a lot of medication, it does go by body weight because you have to distribute the amount per kilogram of body. So that does make a difference. Okay. But he was a douche face to say it like that. Okay,
correct.
It's not. That does not mean that he could not have been not a dick. Mm-hmm. Just to be clear. And as for PCOS, first of all, I think the statistics, okay, you know, I should really look this up, but let me not. The statistics are that I think at least 50% of women have have PCOS of some form. There are multiple forms of it also, by the way. I've had it too as a kid. I was on the pill for years and it was amazing. I loved it. Right until the point when it gave me tachycardia and I was fainting randomly, and this is a whole big mess. But it was really important and it really helped me. I've been on metformin many times in my life for insulin resistance. I lost a lot of weight the first time, and then I got less and less as time went by. But the whole focus of it was, we have to get you thin so that you can have a baby when you're 26, 27. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I mean, I wanted kids. I wanted 5 kids. I know.
Adopt me.
Yeah, I can't afford you. But
that's true.
But the point is, I wanted them. I really did. And I didn't have them for a whole other host of reasons. But the point is that it is definitely possible to be sensitive about the way they engage with us. And they don't do it. I mean, you've heard my charming and wonderful doctor stories already in my rant up there. But there have been so many. And my own father, he worries about my weight all the time. It is true that diabetes runs in his family. It is true that most of my hormonal system takes after his family. Thanks, Ma, for not giving me that. But and you know, he has mild diabetes. His brother's had it for a long time. Sister has it. So there's a lot of this family history weighing on us, as it were. And he worries about it all the time. So my uncle, who is in his 60s and living in the US and severely diabetic, he has bariatric surgery. And it worked for him. He lost a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't see him as being particularly happier or healthier or in any such way about that. But that's a whole other story. Mm-hmm. But since then, Appa was just on this trip about you have to have surgery, you have to have surgery. So he taught me to go and see a doctor. So I went and took an appointment with this really famous guy who is based in Bombay but consults in Delhi, and I went and I saw him. And I walked into this meeting. I mean, there I was, what, 33 maybe? Mm-hmm. At the time. I probably weighed 120 something kilos. Not healthy. I know, I'm 5'6". But I was okay. I still had full movement. I was able to walk, stand, sit. All my indicators, my cholesterol, my blah, 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 were all fine. Mm-hmm. So I went to see this guy with all my tests. And I was like, let me just go see this guy. This guy will be like, don't be stupid. Go lose weight like a normal person. have some exercise and watch your diet, and then my dad would be off my back. But this man looked at me and he said, "Oh, we have to cut off most of your stomach." I was like, "What?"
Good Lord.
Because bariatric surgery has levels as well, right? So there's the one where they put a balloon in and they fill it with water and then they take it away later. And there's one where they tie off a bit of your stomach. The one where they cut off a bit of your stomach. There's one where they entirely bypass the stomach. And he just wanted me to do the most drastic one. And I'm just looking at him and I'm like, why? He says, that's the only way you lose weight because clearly nothing else works for you. And I'm like, no. And then I left. But since then, there's been this back and forth with my father about should we do it, should we not? And I keep telling him that, look, I don't think that surgery is something I'm willing to do to my body unless I medically need it, right? And this has been my stand on bariatric surgery and remains the same. Like, it's a serious, invasive medical procedure. I will have it when it's medically necessary. But one thing...
If at all.
The only time anyone has made a decent argument for bariatric surgery to me was one of my good doctors, right? So there's this orthopedic... I want to say surgeon, but maybe he's an orthopedist. I don't know. No, surgeon. In Delhi that I went and saw because I had this problem. So one of the biggest things that bothers me about my weight is every time I fall, my injuries are really hardcore because it's just physics, right? There's all this weight going boom.
Yeah.
So when I was living in Spain, one night I was coming out of a nightclub and I wasn't looking where I was going and I fell over this little post. I don't know why it was there. But I landed and I thunked my leg and my left leg high up on the shin, and it hurt like a bitch. I was in so much pain. And then all the time that I was in Spain, I would keep going to doctors, and I went and I had x-rays, and I went to a trauma surgeon and everything, because I was like, I don't have good feeling in here. My nerves are kind of dying. It's all kind of pins and needly and dead. Nothing. It was fine. But then earlier this year, like 2.5 years later, I had a fall again on the same knee.
Oh, no.
So when I came back again, I went and I saw the doctor. And because I was Googling, of course. And according to Google, I had some terribly horrible thing which would cause gangrene and all. So I just went and saw the doctor. This is my philosophy. I Google, I freak out, and I'm like, just see a doctor so the doctor can look you in the eye and laugh. Which is what he did, God bless him. But he did tell me that have you considered bariatric surgery? So I said, look, doc, why are you asking me about this? Does it have anything to do with my fall? He said, well, technically, yes, your fall is worse than it needed to have been. He said, well, technically, yes, your fall is worse than it needed to have been because of your weight, which is true.
Yeah.
And he also said that, I'm a doctor of knees and you're putting a lot of pressure on your knees. And I'm like, look, I don't have knee pain. He says, yeah, that's good. But that doesn't mean you won't have knee pain. I said, yeah, but I still don't think that I don't have diabetes. I don't think it's medically important for me to have bariatric surgery. And then he said, that's the point. But you do realize that both osteoarthritis and diabetes are irreversible. So once you get them, you can have the surgery, you can lose the weight, but you'll still have them for the rest of your life. You can't undo the diabetes and you can't undo the arthritis. So to me, that is the only time anyone has made an acceptable argument for bariatric surgery, but still wasn't enough. So I said, sorry, not happening. Thank you. You're very nice. And then I left.
I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. And it was so painfully shameful when I did get diagnosed with sleep apnea. But the first night that I slept with the machine, and I actually slept, and it took away all my allergies and all my coughing and all my phlegminess and all of that, it was like the biggest boon, that I was given. Like, it was a blessing. And so I really took to that machine. And of course, it was very embarrassing, and I would not want anyone to go into my bedroom because what if they saw the machine? But when I had to go for the walk of hope, I decided I'm going to carry the machine along with me. And so I got over that, pain of it. Now I don't need the machine so much because I don't know why, but I can prop myself up, or I figured out how to sleep without the machine. I still use it because it's one of my healthy habits. It gives me the quality of sleep I need.
And sleep is important for quality of life.
Yeah. And I would really recommend John Gabriel, like you're talking about Jason Fung. I would really recommend John Gabriel because he talks about sleep. He talks about stress. He talks about a lot of these things which add up to being a fat person, That
they say that sleep is also when your body does a lot of its own internal healing of inflammation and all of those things that do contribute to weight and stuff like that. on the thing about the chemicals interacting with each other, another thing we must remember is, again, we all like to think that all human bodies are the same. They are not. And your own body, your own hormones, your own cells, your own chemicals, affected by all the bazillion things that have affected you, in your environment, will change how you respond to a thing. So please remember that what works for A is not going to necessarily work for B. One of my closest friends, she loves her grazing diet. I'm just like, no, kill me now. I'm always hungry. I'm always cranky. There's no point. But you know what? Different strokes. But I guess the thing that we really learned from this, if I can speak for both of us, is that just because there is quote unquote accepted wisdom on a subject does not mean you shouldn't be open to exploring or looking for alternative stories. So look for the stories. We give you some book recommendations in this particular episode. And it brought us to a certain moment of peace and health. But I would like to point out that that doesn't mean that there are not a lot of things that are still problematic and painful about all of this. Like, I'll tell you my deepest, darkest medical secret. Come on, should I have a button for like goopy music? Anyway, since I was a child, I have wanted to get jaundice or typhoid so that I could lose a lot of weight. That is all kinds of fucked up. I'm very well aware of it. And genuinely, I don't feel it very often anymore. But sometimes when I fall sick, I'm like, like I had amoebiasis. I know, TMI guys. But I did have amoebiasis like a month or so ago. And I didn't even realize I had it because I haven't had it since I was a child. And I was just like, I have to run. They're not stopping. And then one day I told my mother, like, and she was like, oh, that sounds like amoebiasis. So I went to the doctor. And he gave me medicine. And I got better in 3 days. And I was like, should I stop taking this medicine because I've lost 4 kilos in 2 weeks? Wow. And then I was like, slapped myself and took my medicine, right? But it is a very dark and painful place, I became detached from my body in many ways in the past few years. I put on a lot of weight in Spain and I just felt so ugly and so out of place all the time that it was very hard for me my body became something that wasn't me. See, I've always been fat, but I've always been fit. I've always moved. I've always used it. It's been something I did. I was fitter than thin people. I could walk faster. I could climb more stairs. I could carry more stuff. I can't do that anymore. And I lost all of that. So I realized that I was so detached from my body and I needed to find a way to bring it back to me. And boxing really helped. Anything where I move and I use my body really helps. So dancing, for example, is one. Boxing is another. I can't go for walks. It's just boring because I can walk to work, but I can't go for a walk. That doesn't work for me. I'm doing air quotes, guys. Go for a walk. So moving is really what it was because bodies are meant to move. The human body was meant to move. We have very sedentary lives now. So I still worry, though, that, what happens when I'm 60 and I'm, connected to... and I'm bedridden and my parents will be dead and who will look after me because I'm all alone and. So there are a lot of fears and a lot of really crazy things going on here, right? I'm sure you have some too.
Oh, babe. Well, so I have to admit that I put off doing tests for as long as possible because I'm always afraid of what might come out in that test. And one of the things which is really a dirty secret now, dark secret, not dirty secret, is that I've always been in corporate jobs, so always been covered by the medical insurance from my corporate jobs. And I do have an insurance, medical insurance, but it's going to lapse. And I have been postponing getting medical insurance because I'll have to go for tests. I know they will say to me that, you are too fat, or they will charge me an enormous premium. Right now, I'm struggling to, make my work, coaching, etc. happen. So where will I find the money to pay that premium? And this is something which is really agonizing. So this whole fear of doctors and hospitals and having to go through that medical advice and what you said, actually all of what they said being true or actually falling so ill, and all of this sense of agency and confidence that I found for myself, which makes me feel so good. being completely stripped away from me,
Yeah.
it feels like jail. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what jail is like, but to me it feels that way, that I'm just going to be
You
imprisoned,
feel trapped.
yeah, in this cage.
Yeah.
And for me, I actually haven't found the movement that makes me feel good.
I mean, I don't blame you because here's the thing. Like like I said, I do agree with the idea of moving your body and it being fun and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess boxing works for me because I might have some violent or angry tendencies. But the thing is, India does not induce it because it's a class thing. Why would you walk when you can drive? Right? Are you poor? Right? I mean, no one says it that way, but that's the implication. It's hot. It's filthy. There's nowhere to walk comfortably. If you have to carry something home, you can't. Like, I used to carry my groceries home in Spain. I used to carry my groceries home when I lived in New York. I used to walk all over the place. We never took, I mean, there was a metro in Madrid, but we never used it. We'd walk 20 minutes, 30 minutes downtown to the bars because you're just walking. It's nice. So some things like the weather, of course, can't be changed. But I do understand that it's hard. And I don't know about you, but as a fat person, I'm scared to move because I'm like, people will humiliate me. They'll laugh at me. They're like, Moti ko dekho naach rahi hai. You know? And that is something that stops me from trying a lot of things.
I don't feel, I mean, I'm not worried about the ridicule.
Okay.
Because I have done the Walk of Hope. I have done treks. I've done them at my own pace. But for example, I'm really worried about going to a gym. Like maybe if I had a partner, it would be different. But the whole thought of going to a gym, signing up, getting a trainer, ensuring that the trainer doesn't push me to where I actually hurt my back or hurt another part of me, that's a scary thing. And I actually feel jealous of, not thin people who found their movement, but I feel jealous of fat people who found their movement.
Hey, I found my movement, but I still don't do it. So
yeah, but I wish I could find my movement because one of the things that I've started doing is this 7 minutes every day.
Okay.
And it really is working for me.
Okay.
So, and plus there is this study which says for health, you need 20 minutes of exercise 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And so you can do it in 10 minutes segments. So, for me.
So I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's make this week's challenge a movement challenge.
All right.
So you want to go with it?
2 weeks till the next episode.
Sorry. I keep thinking it's a weekly podcast. Sorry, guys. Let's make this
Says
episode.
the woman who insisted it must be fortnightly and not more.
Says the woman who has the full-time job. So So this episode's challenge can be a movement one.
Absolutely.
What do you want to make it?
7 minutes a day for me and posting it.
Okay, guys, let's try this. For the next 2 weeks, we will all try and move regularly to add up to 20 into 7, 140 minutes. No, 20 minutes 3 times a week. 60 minutes, 1 hour a week of movement that we have to share with the Fatso Challenge. And of course, tag Pallavi, tag me, tag Fatso Podcast. And let's see how this goes.
This is so exciting.
Okay. Okay, it's a wrap, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. You can find us, of course, at Fatso Podcast at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Gmail. fatsopodcast@gmail.com if you want to talk to us privately.
Do keep writing to us. Do keep sending us your stories. It's really wonderful for us to hear them and it motivates us so much more.
I swear to God, we have like a bazillion screenshots of So yeah, it's beautiful. Today's episode was recorded at Manchu Media. Our photographs were taken by Suraj Ajita Kumar. Our logo was designed by Yash. And our music was made by Anand Sharma. This week's episode will be produced by me.